Good morning, you're tuned into the Suncity News Center here on 104.9 FM. It's now time for our morning news and sports update. I'm Judah Francis. Coming up in the news this morning on the local scene, DNA confirmed skeletal remains are those of missing accountant. Hanover couple reportedly murdered in sleep. One dead, two injured in St. Anne crash. On the regional scene, Trinidad National facing 10 years in prison after hiring hitman. On the international scene, first ship carrying Ukrainian grains leaves port under UN-Turkey deal. And in sports, the Sunshine Girls look to keep pace with Aussies today. News in detail right after this. Now the news in detail. A couple was allegedly shot dead while sleeping as gunmen went on a rampage in Hanover early Monday. The attackers reportedly kicked open the doors to a house and shot a man and a woman in Pumpkin Bottom. A man was also killed in the neighboring community of Barbican. Their identities have not yet been released. It's alleged that the shooting took place about 2 a.m. It is not clear whether the cases are linked. The police were on both locations. DNA results have confirmed that skeletal remains found in St. Catherine in May are that of missing accountant teacher Chantelle Blake McCullough. 26-year-old Blake McCullough, who was last seen in the company of her husband Shane, was reported missing on January 6 of this year. According to an Observer Online report, the acting assistant commissioner of police in charge of crime, Cleon March, confirmed the development on Sunday evening, revealing that the DNA results were received from the forensic lab on Friday. The acting ACP said the police held a meeting with family members Sunday and they were updated on the progress of the investigation. March revealed that Shane McCullough has left the island and has not been communicating with the police. He said McCullough has not made the children available to the police for them to be interviewed. Blake McCullough's husband reported that on the day she went missing, he left her at the old toll exit in Belmont Park, Old Harbor, St. Catherine for someone to pick her up and take her to Kingston to make a report at the fraud squad. He reported her missing to the Matilda's Corner police about 9 p.m. that same night. Following police investigations, on Sunday, May 15, skeletal remains were recovered in bushes at Joe Ground District in Boyce Garden, Old Harbor, St. Catherine. Recovered from the scene were one blue plastic tarpaulin, 2 pieces of rope, one wig, one blouse, and a pair of jeans pants. A 3-vehicle crash in Oteria, St. Anne this morning resulted in the death of a man and the injury of 2 others. The deceased was identified as 27-year-old painter John Richards of Brednut Hill in Oterias. Reports were that about 9:30, Richards was driving his Honda Civic motor car along the roadway towards Oterias when on reaching a section of the corridor, he lost control of the vehicle. His car reportedly slammed into the back of a Toyota Coaster bus, which then ran into the rear of a Toyota Sprinter motor car. The drivers of all 3 vehicles received injuries and were rushed to the St. Anne's Bay Hospital, where Richard succumbed to his injuries. The driver of the Toyota Sprinter was admitted while the bus driver was treated at release. The St. Anne Traffic Department is investigating the incident. You're listening to Morning News on Suncity 104.9 FM. The time is now 7 minutes after 7, and we continue with regional news. A United States district judge will on October 26 sentence a 43-year-old Trinidad and Tobago-born national who has pleaded guilty to charge that he used the U.S. mail system to solicit, plan, and pay for the murder of his former girlfriend's new love interest. Justice William P. Dimitri Lias could also impose a 10-year term in federal prison and a U.S. $250,000 fine on Ryan Hadid, who lives in Pembroke Pines, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, Hadid pleaded guilty on Wednesday in federal court to the charge of using the mail to commit murder for hire. It said that as part of his guilty plea, Hadid admitted that in September 2021 he mailed a letter to the intended hitman requesting murder services. The Department of Justice also reported that in the letter and in two others, Hadid instructed the intended hitman to signal his acceptance of the offer by posting marked sheets of paper on a storefront window, among other things. On December 23 last year, Hadid made his first appearance in Fort Lauderdale Federal Magistrate Court, and according to the complainant affidavit on November 10, the intended hitman received a final mailing from Hadid that included a description and pictures of the man that Hadid wanted killed, the victim's home address, and likely travel schedule, as well as a deadline for the murder. Also inside the envelope was $10,000 cash, according to the affidavit. It is alleged that Hadid left the country on a one-way ticket the same day the hitman received the cash and pictures of the intended victim. On the international scene, the first ship carrying Ukrainian grain set off from the port of Odessa on Monday under a deal brokered by the United Nations and Turkey that is expected to release larger stores of Ukrainian crops to foreign markets and ease a growing food crisis. The Sierra Leone flagged cargo ship Razoni left Odessa carrying over 26,000 tons of corn destined for Lebanon. Ukraine's Minister of Infrastructure Alexander Kubakov on Twitter posted that a video of the long vessel sounding its horn as it slowly headed out to sea stated that the first grain ship since Russian aggression has left port. Posting separately on Facebook, Kubrakov said Ukraine is the fourth largest corn exporter in the world, so the possibility of exporting it via ports is a colossal success in ensuring global food security. In Moscow, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov hailed the ship's departure as very positive, saying it would help test the efficiency of the mechanisms that were agreed during the talks in Istanbul. Turkey's defense minister Hulusi Akar said Razoni was expected to dock Tuesday afternoon in Istanbul at the entrance of the Bosporus, where joint teams of Russians, Ukrainians, Turkish, and UN officials would board it for inspection. In an interview with Turkey's state-run Anadolu agency, Akar warned that the global food crisis threatened to trigger a serious wave of migration from Africa to Europe and to Turkey. The corn will then head to Lebanon, a Mideastern nation in the grips of what the World Bank has described as one of the world's worst financial crises in more than 150 years. A 2020 explosion at its main port in Beirut shattered its capital city and destroyed grain silos there, a part of which collapsed following a week-long fire just Sunday. The Turkish Defense Ministry said other ships would also depart Ukraine's ports through safeguarders in line with deals signed in Istanbul on July 22, but did not provide further details. Russia and Ukraine signed separate agreements with Turkey and the UN, clearing the way for Ukraine, one of the world's key breadbaskets, to export 22 million tons of grain and other agricultural goods that have been stuck in Black Sea ports because of the Russian invasion. And now for news in sports, Jamaica's Sunshine Girls are seeking to keep pace with the more fancied Australians in Pool A of the netball competition at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, England. The Jamaicans lie second in Pool A and face Barbados this morning in a game that are highly fancied to win. But the Jamaicans, who are trailing Australia on goal difference, want to begin to make up the gap in the hope that they can enter the bracket that begin at the semi-final stage with a favorable matchup. The second pool in the preliminary round, Pool B, features England and New Zealand, and the assumption is that Jamaica will want to avoid top-ranked New Zealand in the semi-finals. New Zealand are expected to top that group. The Sunshine Girls have so far beaten Wales 72-43 and South Africa 68-49, while Australia have got the better of Barbados 95-18 and Scotland 83-30. In action from other sports at the Commonwealth Games on Sunday, Jamaica did not have a great time. In the pool, Keenan Doles, who competed in the 200-meter butterfly, finished a creditable fourth in his heat, clocking 2 minutes 1.75 seconds, too slow for him to advance. In the 50-meter breaststroke, Jamaica's Nathaniel Thomas was also fourth in his heat, clocking 27.60 seconds, but failed to advance as well. Kelsey Lake Campbell did not start Heat 4 of the women's 50-meter butterfly, and Zanita Alvarenga finished 7th in a heat where there were 6 qualifiers. But her 27.89 seconds was not quick enough for her to move into the semifinals. Nathaniel Thomas also failed to advance after finishing 5th in his men's 100-meter freestyle heat in 52.64 seconds, while his teammate Centrell Williams was 8th in 53.54. In squash, Jamaican Chris Binney's journey in the men's singles competition came to an end at the round of 16 stage after he was beaten by England's Adrian Waller in straight sets 11-7, 11-4, 11-4. Binney's teammate Julian Morrison is through to the quarterfinals of the plate competition to decide lower placings after beating Ghana's Evan Ayim 11-7, 11-5, 11-6. Morrison plays against the British Virgin Islands Joe Chapman's at 8:15. Jamaica's Rugby Sevens team, the Crocs, ended their Commonwealth experience in 13th place after winning first their 13th to 16th place semifinal against Malaysia 28-7 before grinding out a 26-24 win in the 13th place playoff against Sri Lanka. Now to end this newscast, we take a look at the main stories once more. On the local scene, Hanover couple reportedly murdered in sleep. DNA confirms skeletal remains are those of missing accountant. 1 dead, 2 injured in St. Anne crash. On the regional scene, Trinidad national facing 10 years in prison after hiring hitman. On the international scene, first ship carrying Ukrainian grains leave ports on the UN-Turkey deal. And in sports, Sunshine Girls look to keep pace with Aussies. And that's it for news and sports from the Suncity News Center at this time. Do join us again at midday for more news on this station. Do remember to follow us on our socials on Instagram and Twitter. Look for us at Suncity104.9 FM and on Facebook at Suncity Radio104.9 FM. I'm Jada Francis from the Suncity News Center. Do stay tuned for more right here on the Suncity Morning Show.
That was the morning news on the Suncity Morning Show.
In a world of price increases, isn't it good that there is a place